Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another Adventures in the Forgotten Realms draft. Well, we got ourselves an old gnawbone. This is not the first time we've gotten to... Oh, I'm on the wrong... There we go. I was going to say, this is not the first time we've drafted old gnawbone. We did get her, him, them, once while on stream. Her. Okay, yeah. We'll take old gnawbone. I mean, dragons are half of Dungeons and Dragons, according to the title. I went to a Adventures in the Forgotten Realms pre-release at 11 in the morning. Went there and hung out with some of my buddies who I hadn't seen, and I hadn't handled like real cardboard in I don't know how long. It was actually really good. I didn't have a very good pool. I can tell you that much. We'll try taking the lurking ropers this time because I apparently did it wrong by not taking like 5 of these I was past. Druid class, gaining a life whenever you play a land, synergizes with Roper. Purple Worm. Purple Worm's pretty good. I didn't have a very good pool playing in the sealed, though, so like I didn't have enough creatures for basically any combination of colors that I had, which was really, really awkward. Just gonna take the Lifegain card here. So I ended up playing like red-white equipment. I had like an adult gold dragon rare, and I ended up splashing Acerak because my black was like super underwhelming. And like in Dimir colors, I had no cards that actually ventured into the dungeon other than Acerak. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll try and make this work. We'll see how this goes, you know. And turns out it wasn't great. But I lost the first round. I beat an 8-year-old kid in the second round. But he had the same uncommon first name that I did, so there could be only one. And then I played against my buddy in round 3, and even though I beat him, I think his deck was way better than mine. Like, he had Orcus, and he was playing, I think, 3 colors because he was splashing off treasures, and his deck was actually pretty good. And so I just gave him the win and said, I'm going to scoop and go home. And then I got home. Keep in mind, I'd only been gone for about 4 hours out of my house, and I get home, I sit down on the couch. Porter's so happy to see me, and you know, I let him out, and I come back and I sit on the couch, and I crashed. I had a nap so hard after that Porter was actually like licking my face to make sure that I was okay. Like, he was coming over and he was nosing me, and I like couldn't even muster up the energy to like pet him to like calm him down. I was just dead. And he was concerned about it. That's how tired I was. So I realized that like after all of that stuff, I'm probably like I'm gonna take the You Find a Cursed Idol. Steadfast Paladin might be the pick, or Underdark Basilisk, but I realized that like after quarantine and all this stuff, my social battery for interacting with strangers is way smaller than it used to be. So that is something that I am going to have to correct if I ever want to go to a GP and you know, interact with people and whatnot, or whatever they call GPs nowadays. Magic Fests, or I don't even know if they're going to be called that anymore, because I heard that there was some more drama involving all that, and who knows. Anyway, back to the draft. So we're drafting mono green here, and we have a lot of life gain stuff, but that's what Lurking Roper pays off for. So like, it's a 3-mana 4/5, right? Which is a really, really aggressive rate for a green card, but you know, we have a few repeatable life gain tools, and generally I think it's green-white because of cards like Celestial Unicorn. I think this card's actually pretty great. Just whenever you gain a life, put a counter on it. Null Hunter is a good pack tactics trigger. We're going to need some creatures in the 2-drop slot, as we are going to need to be a little bit aggressive. I wouldn't mind a Compelled Duel. It's kind of like derpy removal. An Inspiring Bard's not bad, but it's better when you have things to pump on curve. Potion of Healing is fine. It's a cantrip. I will take another one actually over the Mace. I'll take a Ranger's Hawk, because why not? And we get a Plummet. Always good to have a Plummet in the sideboard if you're playing green, in whatever format it exists in. It's just a way to deal with big flying creatures that you might otherwise have problems with. So this is a 7-mana 8/7 that can cost 5 mana if a creature died. Not bad. Alright, pack 2. We've got the Black Staff of Waterdeep. Now, somebody said this says non-token artifact. And I completely misread this when I saw it the first time. They were correct. You cannot animate your treasures with this card. I still think it's probably abusable in a limited deck. I think it could be quite strong. The sad part is there's like no good green or white cards in this pack. There's a Bull Strength, but those frequently come around. So I'm going to take the Dawnbringer Cleric just to have. Hopefully we can get another Roper or two. All right. I'll take a Delver's Torch here. I don't think I would play a third Potion of Healing unless I was playing like Teleportation Circle. Like I said, Bull Strength will probably come around. Torch just seems good. Okay, Dungeon Map. This card is a card that I underrated. Just, if you get into a situation where the board is stalled or, like you're both top-decking dead, or if there was a board wipe that was cast and nobody has any creatures, just like Repeatable Venture is insanely good. This is also ramp and could help us cast Gnawbone or Purple Worm. Hunter's Mark is a one-sided fight spell I will absolutely take. I wouldn't mind a planar ally if I could get one. Prosperous Innkeeper is actually really good, but I think I'm going to take the Owlbear. This card, I think it is less good than it first appears, but it's still good. It's a 5-mana 4/4 that cantrips, so take that. Let's see, Cliffguard Ranger, a 5-mana 4/1 that makes a 2/2, or another Owlbear. I think I'm going to go with the Owlbear, simply because I don't want to run out of cards in this match. Like, in any of these matchups, I want to be able to cast my spells on curve and curve out. So if we could get, like, some Priests of the Ancient Lore and more, like, creatures that cantrip, just so we never, like, completely run out of things to do, I think this deck will be actually quite good. One thing that I've noticed is... I think Priest of Ancient Lore, the 3-mana 2/1 Dwarf Cleric that gains you a life and draws you a card, I think that's the first white creature that cantrips. I mean, we kind of had Professor of Symbology, and I think there was one other white creature that cantrips, but it was printed forever ago, relative to... I guess I'll take another Purple Worm. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I wouldn't mind a Delver's Torch, but... Worms! That was a fun computer game. I don't know if anybody ever played Worms, but Worms was one of my favorite things to play as a kid, and it was one of the few things that me and my brother could both play together, despite him being 8 years older than me. I'll take a Find the Path. Just a little bit of ramp and venture there. Yeah, but I think that the white cantripping creature thing, I think that's something that they could do if they just take like a decent white creature that can see modern play. So like... Thraben Inspector. So, like, Thraben Inspector is, like, sort of a cantrip creature, and doesn't even cantrip, right? It just creates a token that lets you cantrip later. There's one other one that I wasn't thinking of other than Thraben Inspector. I want to make that clear, but Thraben Inspector is good enough to see play in Fringe Modern decks for different reasons, like enabling Metalcraft and just being a good white creature to play on turn 1. If you're flickering creatures, obviously it's good value and whatnot, but, like, it's a 1-mana 1/2. And it occasionally sees modern play. It's not good right now because they just, like, pumped the format full of incredibly powerful cards with Modern Horizons and stuff. But, like, a decent white creature, like if they made a 2-mana 3/1 that cantripped for white, or, like, some regular white stat line that's, like, moderately playable, and they just made it draw a card, I think that's how they can fix white's... I'll take a plummet for the sideboard here. I think that's how they can fix white's card advantage problem in, like, Modern. And they can just, like, print better white cards. Because they've done a lot to help it out in EDH. I don't even play EDH, and I can see that. But I think white needs some Eternal format help. And the ways so far that they've thought about doing it have not been good. I'll take you Find a Cursed Idol. I don't think I'd be playing a Paladin Shield. Plummet number 3. We'll never run into problems with flyers. Sylvan Shepherd is really good. Paladin Shield I'm not going to play. Alright, well, we have enough cards to make a playable deck here. And we do have a Mythic, right? We have Gnawbone. Alright, pack number 3. Another Black Staff of Waterdeep. So, I don't think Long Rest is good, but, like, what is this? If you pay 11 mana into Long Rest, you can go back to 20 life. Alright, fine, I'll take it. It's a green rare. I don't think it's good, but, you know, we'll do something with it. So, in this pack, we could take a Steadfast Paladin, we could take a Rally Maneuver, and this could be a really good combat trick. You can't place both buffs on a single creature, which would make this card really good if you could. Well, like giving a creature first strike to win combat and giving something that gets through lifelink, or just like really making your blocks a lot better. I think I am going to take this. Zalto Fire Giant Duke. Whenever he's dealt damage, venture into the dungeon. Interesting. I think we either take Sylvan Shepherd, Evolving Wilds, or Steadfast Paladin. I have a couple pieces of equipment. So like maybe the Paladin's actually good. I could just take Evolving Wilds though. We only have single white and a lot of double green cards. I think I'm going to go with Sylvan Shepherd. The 3-drop slot's getting a little bit heavy for us, but we're not going to be doing a lot of venturing, so probably don't need Gloomstalker. Cloister Gargoyle for the same reason. I have a couple of things that venture, but... I mean, I guess I have Dungeon Map. Alright, we'll take the Cloister Gargoyle. Another Rally Maneuver, a Minimus Containment, or you find a Cursed Idol. I'm probably not playing 3 of these at any point. So I'm going to take Minimus Containment, because this card is actually a really, really good removal spell. There's a Priest of Ancient Lore, which is one of the cards I was hoping to pick up. Arborea Pegasus might be better, giving a creature evasion to, like, attack, but I really want the Priest, because the early game is going to be a little bit suspect for us. I'm going to take another Priest, because I think this card is really good. I'd like a Celestial Unicorn or another Dungeon Map, but we have a few things in the 3-drop slot we don't need to play. I can also probably get away with maybe not even playing any 1-drops in this deck. We'll see. See, Tresselara Moondancer. Whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on it and scry. Well, that seems good. Seems like a good payoff for us. I'll take You Hear Something on Watch. I keep forgetting that this card is actually good removal. Just 2 mana, deal 5 damage to an attacking creature. Like, in addition to being capable of being used offensively, pumping the whole team. Although I will say that I still think this is kind of a flavor fail. I think the first mode should untap all creatures you control, because tapping is frequently flavored as sleep. In fact, the actual card sleep involves tapping. All that stuff, so if you're rousing someone from sleep, they should be untapped, presumably. I don't think I can play a second Druid class. Maybe I can, but... Alright, sure. Probably not playing any of these. Probably not playing the Longbow. Probably not playing any of these. Not playing that. And Force to Forest. Cool. Okay, so what are we not playing? I'm probably only playing 1 You Find a Cursed Idol in the main deck, along with 1 Potion of Healing. I don't think I want the Mace. I think the Torch by itself is fine. I don't really need Find the Path, and I probably do not need to play Long Rest, although I'm going to try it. I have no idea if it's actually going to be good or not. So Circle of the Moon Druid, easily our worst 3-drop. Cloistered Gargoyle, I think, is close behind. I don't need to play Dawnbringer Cleric, even though it gains life and has some utility. I think I am going to keep Neverwinter Dryad. I might cut Ranger's Hawk, because I cut the equipment, except for Delver's Torch. Actually, I'm going to cut both 1-drops. We have good value and a lot of creatures, and a lot of our creatures actually draw cards. Druid class can act sort of as a creature by going late. I'm going to cut this potion. We have 4 cantrip creatures, which is quite nice. I'm going to keep Long Rest in here because we have Gnawbone. I don't actually think that's going to be good, but maybe I should be playing the Find the Path at least. I don't know what it's better than for us, though. Okay, let's try only 1 Druid class. If Druid class just ends up being like a complete house, then, you know, we can bring in a second one and readjust some deck building. But I've not played the real green-white Lifegain deck before, so... Alright, I would like to play first. We've got nothing for quite a long time. I do have a removal spell in both mythics. I think I've got to mulligan that. Okay, this I think I can work with. We do need to draw a 3rd land, but if we do, we should be fine. If we don't, we can use Finding a Cursed Idol to make a treasure and scry for 1, maybe? Alright, there's the land. Play Druid class. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They play a mountain into Targnar. We untap and draw Gnawbone. Play a Plains, gain a life. Then play Priest of Ancient Lore. Gain a life and draw another Priest of Ancient Lore. Pass the turn. Opponent does not attack, and they play an Underdark Basilisk. We untap. We draw Sylvan Shepherd. Would like to draw a land, so play Priest of Ancient Lore. And we did not. So, pass the turn. That's pretty bad. Opponent plays a forest into a Wandering Troubadour. Beginning of your end step, if you had a land enter the battlefield under your control, this turn, venture into the dungeon. Okay. We untap, we get a Hunter's Mark. Alright, well, we're going to play Dungeon Map and pass the turn. Man, who would have thought even drawing 2 extra cards we couldn't draw a 4th land? I even played 17 land and ran 41 cards. It tells me with my luck I'm going to draw lands for 19 turns and lose the game. Okay, they fireball down a priest. Then they attack. Alright, so we are going to trade with the 5-2. I think we have to. Go to 16. Untap. We draw Celestial Unicorn. Okay, let's play the Sylvan Shepherd. Pass the turn. If opponent swings out again and leaves nothing on defense, we can gain a little bit of life. Opponent plays a dungeon map, which we will be probably destroying. Block. Opponent have a combat trick, like a bull strength. Okay, that makes sense. Alright, we untap. We draw planes, finally. Gain a life. Let's destroy their dungeon map. This lets us leave up our removal spell. Okay, opponent plays a land. They're going to give Targnar +3/+1. They go to combat. This only doubles his power, right? Nope, it doubles his toughness too. Alright, well thankfully they didn't activate that before attacking. Otherwise we would have died. That would not have been fun. Alright, hoping for a land. Let's untap. There's the land. Play the unicorn. Gain a life. Counter on the unicorn. Then let's go ahead and level up the Druid class. Pass the turn. Opponent. Inspiring Bards. Attacks for 3. No blocks. We untap. We draw an Owlbear, which we can't play. So we can either venture and like try and scry. We can Hunter's Mark to take out our opponent's creature. Let's fight. Go to combat. Hit them for 5. The Basilisk does only have 1 power to start with, so... Okay, they fireball us, which is annoying, but they don't attack. We draw a purple worm. So here's where venturing into the dungeon is going to be great. So let's go to Fandelver. Scry. Plains does not help us cast any of our stuff, so it's going to the bottom. Pass the turn. And like, we have a ton of really good stuff. We just need to be able to get to where we're going here. I could, I guess, have activated Druid class. Trelasara. I think I said that wrong the first time I saw it, so apologies. Play the Elf Cleric. Then let's go venturing. And we're going to go down to the mine tunnels, because we need double green. Pass the turn. I may have to try and block that Null Hunter if they attack with both creatures, because we are getting kind of low on life. I think I'm gonna... Because if I don't, like, I could die to some number of pump spells. Okay, opponent plays a Circle of the Moon Druid. We untap. We draw a Lurking Roper. I have 6 mana right now. I could play an Owlbear, which should be... Well, it'd be big enough to trade with the Circle of the Moon Druid. Let's play the Roper. I'm going to use our treasure to venture. So we can either gain 1 life and our opponent loses a life, or we can shrink a creature for a turn. Let's go to the Fungi Cavern. We'll shrink the Basilisk so it can't attack. Our guy is big enough to block the Druid. Alright, we untap. We draw a Sylvan Shepherd. Let's venture and try and draw a card for a land, hopefully. That is not a land. Pass the turn. They make some goblins. Alright, they untap, they play a land. They have Meteor Swarm, and that's exactly lethal. Alright, well, I think my sequencing was bad. I think I made some poor decisions, but I probably should have just been trying to build the board that entire time while I had spells I could cast. I have a tendency of doing that. I have a tendency to do whatever I perceive as powerful, rather than what is good. And I think that's the #1 thing that holds me back, especially in Limited. I can really play Limited to have a lot of fun, but I guess I'm not very good at it. So we'll keep. Put back a Plains. Lead on a Forest. We're going to go Torch into Priest. I also didn't draw lands for a long period of time during that last game, and I think I would have been fine if I had. So this time we will have 2 forests, which is good. Play Delver's Torch, pass the turn. Don't we also play a lot of forests more than plains? Okay, we draw a dungeon map, play a forest. Let's play a priest. Gain a life and draw. Owlbear. Okay. Opponent untaps, they play a forest. They find the path and venture. We untap, we draw another forest, so play a plains, suit up. I would have played the dungeon map this turn, but I'm going to play the Owlbear next turn, and that'll use all my mana anyway. So we might as well start getting some value. Plains to the bottom, I don't need a 6th one yet. 6th land. Hit our opponent for 3, pass the turn. Opponent plays a mountain, they have 5 mana. They play Zalto Fire Giant Dupe. We untap, draw forest, go to combat, attack. Let's go to the Goblin Lair. Opponent no blocks, not surprising. If they had blocked for some reason, we could play Purple Worm this turn. Play Owlbear, draw a card. Another Owlbear, pass the turn. Having all these cantrip creatures feels really nice. Opponent starts by playing an Unexpected Windfall, ditching a forest. They get 2 treasures back. Opponent plays an Inspiring Bard. They're going to pump Zalto to a 9/5. I am going to trade off for this. We might have trouble with that otherwise. Opponent should only venture once here, I think. Yeah. So they get a Goblin token. We untap and draw a Rally Maneuver, which is potentially very powerful this turn. So go to combat. Attack with the Priest. Let's go to the storeroom and put a counter on the Priest. Opponent only blocks there. So let's give it first strike, kill their guy, then play a map, pass the turn. So next turn, we'll get to complete our dungeon and draw. Opponent plays another Find the Path. They get to venture. They go to the storeroom and they make the Goblin a 2/2. They hit us for 2 and take us to 15. They play a land. They play a Circle of the Moon Druid. We untap, draw Sylvan Shepherd, go to combat, and attack. Okay, complete the Lost Mind of Fandelver. We draw a Hunter's Mark. Opponent blocks. So, fight in response. I'm really glad that green got updated fight spells, because fight spells for the longest time were very underpowered. Like, green got really good creatures for a very, very long period of time, and still does. But, like, in terms of playability, just like their regular removal of fight spells and stuff were horrible until they started getting instant speed and one-sided fight. I can't believe their initial experiment was to give one-sided fight to red when it was like green's thing for so long. And of course, any argument you can make about the color white at all having like underpowered mechanics right now is not really valid. It's getting better because I can see some of the experiments that they're starting to do for white in standard, and I kind of like them. I like white getting card advantage and stuff through repeatable effects like Venture. Even though it's not powerful, even though it's not necessarily like modern or eternal format playable, I like that sort of thing, and if they keep doing it, eventually one will be. And then when they find white's niche, it's going to be great. So go to combat, attack and attack. Okay, roll a d20. Opponent cracks Evolving Wilds, gets a mountain. We gain 2. We're going to go to Dungeon of the Mad Mage, gain a life. Opponent no blocks, they take 6. Play Purple Worm. I would play Owlbear here, but I'm actually only 1 land away from playing Owlbear and activating Dungeon Map. So opponent untaps. They venture into the dungeon. Gain 1 life. They play a land. I think we basically have them. So we untap. We draw a Null Hunter. Go to combat. Attack with everyone. We gain 1 life. We get to scry. Forest. Yeah, forest to the top. Opponent blocks the Purple Worm. Take 6. I think because my opponent is actually about to die, I'm not going to show them that I have 2 Owlbears because I don't think my opponent has seen that. So we're just going to venture, get a treasure, and pass. Okay, opponent Faraday Fireball, or Purple Worm. If they roll low, they're basically dead, guaranteed. Okay, opponent rolled high. They untap and scoop. Alright. I don't think we make any adjustments for round 3. I haven't seen anything that I've wanted to cast Plummet on this entire time. So, run it back. Alright, we've got 2 mana, a Null Hunter, and a Torch. So I will be keeping this. If we can just rip like 2 or 3 lands right off the top, we'll have a good game. Opponent leads on Evolving Wilds, immediately getting a forest. We draw, you hear something on watch, which, while not a land, does add to our capabilities. It's at least 1 more thing we can play. Opponent plays a mountain, plays Targnar, we draw a forest, play plains, play Null Hunter, pass the turn. Opponent plays a mountain, attacks for 2, no blocks. We take 2 and an opponent plays a Basilisk, play a forest, go to combat, attack for 2. Okay, opponent blocks the Basilisk. So let's give our guy first strike. Okay, Basilisk down. Opponent untaps. Opponent hits us for 2. We untap. Draw a Celestial Unicorn. Okay, so I think what we want to do is play the Unicorn this turn. Inspiring Bard pumping the Null Hunter is also tempting, but that doesn't get around to Bull Strength. In fact, nothing we do does, because you hear something on watch is not quite Divine Arrow. It can't hit blocking creatures, it only can hit attacking ones. So go to combat, attack for 2. I'm highly suspecting a Bull Strength here because my opponent didn't do anything with that mana. Okay, they have an unexpected windfall. They might be trying to cantrip or draw into Bull Strength. They ditched a mountain. They got nothing else. They take 2, go to 18, and we play the Unicorn. Inspiring Bard is a better use of mana this turn because if we drew a Plains, we could play the Unicorn and Delver's Torch next turn, but I really strongly suspect we're going to be gaining life off of this Bard. And if we draw a land, we're probably casting Purple Worm next turn anyway. Opponent goes to combat, attacks for 2, no blocks. Take 2, and an opponent plays Zalto Fire Giant. We untap. We draw a Hunter's Mark, which this is probably the best turn for us to have drawn that. So let's go ahead and take out the Fire Giant. This does let us get a Pack Tactics trigger and get in a big swing here. So opponent goes to Fandelver. They get to Scry. We go to combat and attack for 6. Pack Tactics trigger, counter on Null Hunter. Okay, so opponent took 7, goes to 11. They untap. They Dragon's Fire to kill the Unicorn, then attack us with Targnar. We untap. We draw a Long Rest. So, time to play Inspiring Bard. I think we're going to go for the damage here. It's possible my opponent has another removal spell, but we can race at this point. Attack for 5. Opponent goes to 6, and we have lethal sitting on board, so they can't really attack here unless they have some really good combat tricks. They play Find the Path. So they can go to the Goblin Lair and make a Goblin, or they can go to the Mine Tunnels if they need to fix for something. And they need like 4 mana to play something. Okay, they go to the Goblin Lair. Okay. Then they attack. Honestly, I think we can take 2. We untap, draw Druid class, go to combat, attack, get a Pack Tactics trigger. So opponent has to chump. They are going to Bull Strength. Okay. So if they block the Null Hunter... Actually, if they block anything, we're just going to rouse the party. That way we trade. So opponent loses both of their creatures, and we get to keep a 5/5. Then we can play Druid class, and if we draw a land, we can play and equip Delver's Torch. And then Null Hunter will be big enough to trigger Pack Tactics by itself, which would be sweet. So opponent untaps. Oh, actually not, because it's not quite large enough. Opponent Faraday's Fireball. We draw a forest, play a land, gain a life. I can long rest to get back 2 different cards. So let's get back Inspiring Bard. Actually, let's get back Null Hunter and Celestial Unicorn. Because that way we have 2 different cards we can play next turn, guaranteed. While they're not necessarily the most synergistic 2 cards, both us and our opponent are kind of at a low life total. I'd like to just draw a land and then land, because we could then gain life, trigger Celestial Unicorn, make it bigger, and then we could draw a land and then play Purple Worm. Opponent plays Hill Giant Herd Gorger, draw Plains, play the Unicorn, play the Plains, gain a life, make the Unicorn bigger, play Null Hunter, pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They improvised weapon. Oh gosh. I think we have to take 7, because if we don't draw a land, I think we're screwed. Alright. Well, opponent had the combat trick. But if we blocked there and drew nothing... Okay, well, we were drawing the land. So blocking was correct. I mean, we just didn't know. My concern was if we didn't draw a land there, we were going to have to play and equip Delver's Torch. And, like, if we didn't draw a land, we were just dead anyway. So, alright. Maybe I was supposed to play like I wasn't... Or I was going to draw a land, because I think we were dead without it. But, alright. I'll see you guys in round 2. Alright. Round 2, we're on the draw. We need to draw a land, though. I think we got to mulligan this. This might be doable, but we're going to have to draw creatures. 1 land gets us to Dungeon Map. Another land after that, and a creature dying gets us to Purple Worm. Opponent starts with a 1-mana 1/1. We draw Druid class, lead on a forest, pass the turn. Well, Druid class is a better opener than Delver's Torch. Opponent plays a swamp, plays a Battlecry Goblin. Alright, so they're going to be fast. We draw Inspiring Bard, play Druid class, and we're really going to need a land. We might not be fast enough against an opener this fast, especially if my opponent has, like, the Goblin Lord at rare or whatever. Vampire Spawn. Well, 1, 2, and 3 is a pretty good curve. They hit us for 3. We go to 13, and we draw nothing. Pass the turn. Alright, well, I think because we stumbled, we lost. Oh, we definitely lost. Yep. That's a loss. This card is insanely good. Go to 1. Yep. Alright, next game. So versus this opponent, I may actually want to play Ranger's Hawk and Neverwinter Dryad, just so that I come down a little bit sooner. Druid class probably going to underperform because it's pretty slow. Same with Long Rest. So let's try it like this. Okay, would like to play first. We will keep. We do need to draw another creature. Lead on Plains, pass the turn. Opponent plays a mountain, we untap. Draw another Plains, that is not what we wanted. Play Trelasara, pass the turn. Opponent F6s through their turn, and scoops the game. Out of shame, okay. Well, I'll take it. Run it back. Opponent is on the play. We will keep this. We've got plays, we've got mana, we've got both colors. Lead on Plains, pass the turn. Opponent plays a mountain into a Battlecry Goblin. We draw You Find a Cursed Idol. Play Trelasara, pass the turn. Opponent plays a swamp. Plays a Vampire Spawn. They attack. I'm actually going to trade here. I don't want them snowballing with that card, and we have no way to gain life and get value out of Trelasara yet. He says as he top decks exactly what he would need. So, I still think that decision was correct, but... because we just need to delay our opponent. If our opponent is playing that many low-drop creatures, if we make it to late game, we're going to win. Okay, opponent Unexpected Windfall, ditching a Price of Loyalty, which is kind of scary. Threaten effects like this are generally pretty good. Especially because there is a common sack outlet, and I think Price of Loyalty is a common. Yeah. Okay, we draw Plains. So, go to combat. Hit our opponent for 2, and then we will play Sylvan Shepherd. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent plays a 4-3 with First Strike and Haste. So we're taking 6 here. 7-8. Alright, untap. We draw Minimus Containment. So play a Forest. Go to combat. Attack with the Sylvan Shepherd. See how much life we gain. 1. Less than I would have liked. Okay, we're going to destroy Dueling Rapier. And then we're going to leave back Rally Maneuver. So opponent plays a land. We also have You Hear Something on Watch. So give this First Strike. Give that +0/+2 and lifelink. So while our opponent does get to take You Hear Something on Watch, if they want to, they take the Owlbear, which makes sense. Opponent takes the First Striker, so they're going to hit us for 6. We block here. We will end up gaining 2. We untap. We draw Dungeon Map. So Minimus Containment, turn that into a treasure. Go to combat. Attack and gain life. We gain 2. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They draw. They play Goblin Javelineer. And they play a Battlecry Goblin. They give their guys haste. They go to combat. And they attack. They get a tapped and attacking Goblin token. So let's deal 5 damage here. Then block here and trade. Okay, we take 2 and go to 6. Untap. We draw land. Play a Plains. Go to combat. Attack. Gain a life. And opponent scoops. Alright. So we were able to stabilize there. The red-black deck can be really explosive, but I find that it's actually kind of inconsistent. Same with other variations of mono-red. This format is really weird in that most games want to go very long, but that those like Boros and Rakdos decks are able to close the matches out on like turn 3 or turn 4, like literally kill you that turn. So you have to be prepared when you're playing against them. Anyway, I'll see you guys in round 3. Alright, we'll be on the draw for round 3. And I can keep this. It's a little bit slow, but we do have a little bit of removal in the event our opponent is playing an aggressive deck. I understand now why long rest is 8, because it's 8 or more hours for a long rest. Alright, play Plains, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Swamp, plays a Sepulchre Ghoul. Hits us for 1. We go to 19, untap, draw Druid class. Pass the turn. Druid class is good, but it's not going to be good yet. Opponent plays a swamp. Checks for traps. What a jerk. That's just good. Personally, I didn't like playing this card, and the fact that it's good, I mean, doesn't surprise me, because, you know, Kano doesn't evaluate cards right, so. It's... Okay. Yep. They hit us for 3. We go to 15, untap, draw forest, play a forest, play the unicorn. Opponent checks for more traps. Don't you just hate those kind of players when you're DMing? They tap every tile with a 10-foot pole, and the rogue checks for traps, and then everyone else wants to check for traps. Alright. Opponent took Owlbear. Alright, no blocks, take 3. Then they play a Great Axe. We untap. We draw, you find a cursed idol. So play Druid class, play forest, gain a life, counter on the unicorn, then destroy the Great Axe with you find a cursed idol, and hit our opponent for 4. Opponent untaps. They attack us for 3. They only have 1 card left in hand. So I'm wondering if they're mono black or if they're splashing another color. They appear to be mono black. We untap, draw Priest of Ancient Lore. So play a forest, gain a life, counter on the unicorn, Priest of Ancient Lore, gain a life, counter on the unicorn, go to combat, attack for 6, take him to 9, pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They could sack the Shambling Gas to kill the Priest, then hit us for 4. We'd actually prefer that they do that because then we can pick up 2 cards with long rest. So they kill the Priest, pump the Ghoul, hit us for 4, take us to 8. We untap, draw Plains, play Plains, gain life, counter on the unicorn, go to combat, attack for 7, take him to 2, long rest, pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They play a land, then they pass. We untap, draw Plains, play Plains, pump the unicorn, Priest, gain a life and draw, Hunter's Mark, kill our opponent. Nice. Alright. Lifegain for the win. Run it back. I don't think we make any adjustments. This hand seems way too slow, so we're going to mulligan. Much better, but potentially dangerous. Especially if they check for traps 9 times in a turn. So put back long rest. Opponent leads on swamp. Play Shambling Ghast. We untap. Draw Minimus Containment. Lead on a Plains. Pass the turn. We will need to draw another land. That much is for certain. Opponent plays a swamp. Goes to combat. Hits us for 1. We go to 19. Then they play a white. We untap. Draw forest. Play a forest. And something tells me this white's going to get us. Because I've got a feeling my opponent is going to check for traps. They play a swamp. They go to combat. They attack. Shoot the white. Awesome. They did not have feign death or check for traps. They hit us for 1. Devour intellect, forcing us to discard a card. I think we actually have to get rid of Minimus Containment. Then they play Thieves' Tools. Sure. We untap. Draw you find a cursed idol. Play a forest. Play Sylvan Shepherd. Pass the turn. So if my opponent was to cast Demogorgon's Clutches or another mind, like any sort of discard that forces us to discard, we get rid of Cursed Idol, Lurking Roper before we get rid of Dungeon Map. 5 mana. Opponent plays Zombie Ogre. Does not attack. We untap. Draw Purple Worm. Okay. Play the Roper, because the Roper can block the Ogre until they equip the Ogre, that is. Opponent plays a Lightfoot Rogue. Does not equip and does not attack. Okay, they equip second main phase. We untap. Draw Forest. So, play a Forest. Play Dungeon Map. Then we will destroy their Thieves' Tools. Pass the turn. Next turn we will attack with the Sylvan Ranger. Actually, we'll attack with both creatures. Opponent attacks with the Rogue. It has Death Touch, so no blocks. Take 3, go to 15. Then our opponent plays another Shambling Ghast. We untap, draw Forest, go to combat, attack with the Sylvan Shepherd. I've decided against attacking with the Roper because they could block it with the Ogre and then like double block with the Shambling Ghasts and do a bunch of nasty things, so not going to stand for that. We want them to block and kill Shepherd. Okay, opponent no blocks, that's fine. Play a Forest, venture into Fandelver, go Scrying, Plains lets us play Purple Worm, so leave it on top. Pass the turn. Opponent goes to combat, attacks with the Lightfoot Rogue. We're going to trade. Okay, opponent gets to venture. So they get to scry. We untap. Draw Plains. Play the Plains. Play Purple Worm. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a second Zombie Ogre. So they could triple block to kill the Purple Worm. That's kind of annoying. We untap. We draw an Owlbear. Play the Owlbear. See what we draw. Rally Maneuver. Okay, that's actually huge. Pass the turn, because that lets us get a huge attack off. Basically for free. We untap. We draw Druid class. So go to combat. Swing with the team. Opponent chumps. Changes their mind. Blocks. Okay, they just double chump. Okay. So they take 4. They make a treasure. And they make a treasure. So then we venture into the dungeon. Make a goblin. In case we need to block. But we're probably not blocking on my opponent's turn. Because we don't want our opponent to venture twice. They play a land. They play Sepulchre Ghoul. They attack for 6. Okay, no blocks. Take 6. If my opponent wants to venture, they have to sack. Okay, we untap. We draw. Hunter's Mark. Does that kill them? If we Hunter's Mark, we have the worm fight the ghoul. That's 9, 13, 14 damage, plus more if we needed it. So, fight the ghoul, go to combat, attack for 14, and the game is over. Alright, well, the quest to actually trophy an AFR Draft League continues, but I hope you guys enjoyed this content. If you did, please leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined, and remember, you can follow me on Twitch. Same username over there as you find me on here. I stream Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, though the last few times have been earlier. And yeah, I want you to know that you're all wonderful human beings. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Hey, just wanted to give a shout out to my patrons for the month of July. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate your support. And if you want to have your guys' names show up in this list, there's a link to my Patreon in the description down below. Thank you all so much.